Hello guys, Jbread here, back again for another video. For today's video guys, I like to continue on my previous video, which is when I tried to conquer the Ottomans. From my previous video, I just conquered one part of the Ottoman Empire, but now some of you guys suggested that I continue on my conquest of the Ottomans and also continue on my conquest of the East, which I thought would be a fun idea. So for this video, I'd like to conquer more than just the Ottomans, but rather most of Anatolia and hopefully probably the East. And I thought that it would be a fun challenge. So now let's begin. So I began with the usual start, setting up your court, marrying off your children or your siblings to have an alliance. Just like from my previous video, I married off my children to Serbia or Bulgaria for an alliance, and I also set up my men-at-arms. For those that saw my previous video, as you can see, the game looks a bit different from before, and I also started a new game. A little bit of explanation on why I chose to make a new game. Because of the update from the main mod, Bookmarks Plus, it added a couple of additions in the game, especially in the religious aspect of the game. Basically, the mod is a bit different than before. With the new update, the previous save game would become incompatible from being able to be continued. And so, I began a new game. So just like my previous playthrough, I began by centralizing my power by taking lands from my own vassals and then getting the revenue of those counties and then building up my men-of-arms so that I may be able to attack the Turks. So as mentioned before, I added a couple of mods that would improve the game, and one mod in particular is a mod where it adds a couple of court positions, of which there are a lot of these positions, and some of these positions are very helpful, especially for your men-of-arms, knights, and troops that I thought would be very useful, especially in this playthrough, as this playthrough is a bit more difficult than before, because aside from beneficial mods for me, I also added a couple of beneficial mods to the AI that would improve their combat capabilities, especially some Muslim rulers. And you will see that from this playthrough that they are a bit more powerful than what was previously shown. So I really began the game by conquering my smaller neighbors, by reconquesting previously lost Roman lands, especially from the Fourth Crusade, starting with Athens and then with Achaia. Though I did not attack Epirus, I want them to become my tributaries, much more powerful that way. They give more troops and they give more gold as tributaries than trying to conquer them, which is much more expensive, and I don't really want rebellious vassals. And with that, now I have 3 more counties under my control, of which I built them up to become much more financially rewarding to me and also to my men-of-arms. So my strategy for attacking the Ottomans is to declare a holy war on them using the Kingdom Holy War Casus Belli. And currently, I'm trying to wait for a while until my piety or until I get the required piety to declare holy war on them. But for the meantime, I continued my reconquest of Greece by attacking the Venetians and seizing more lands. After the war with Venice, I was then dragged into a defensive war for Epirus, of which I became their suzerain suddenly and without me really knowing how. I was able to make them my tributaries, probably from my previous wars where I inherited the relations of some of the counties or nations that I was able to completely annex, probably from Athens or maybe from Achaia, but who knows. After a while of nothing much happening, I then continued my conquest of Greece by finishing off the remnants of the Duchy of Athens. During this time, the Turks then decided to raid my Anatolian holdings and then move on to my Thracian holdings, starting with Gallipolis and then towards Constantinople. I then decided to try out my men of arms if they were able to defeat the Ottomans. But with superior numbers and maybe a superior commander, I was beaten twice. In the second time, I tried to use the defender's advantage fighting in Constantinople, but still I failed, where my character then was injured and subsequently died shortly after. If you're wondering what makes the Ottomans much more powerful in this mod, is because the Ottomans have a much more numerous troop count, while Byzantium has much more lower troop count, meaning they have lesser levies to rely on, and when fighting the Ottomans, you would need to have at least more men of arms, which is the issue that I face in this mod, because the mod is balanced more towards to other nations and not towards Byzantium, because the mod tries to simulate the fall of Byzantium. Then nothing much really happened. I had a few rebellions. I also continued and finished my conquest of Greece. And then after that, I tried to build up my piety, build up my counties and my men of arms to prepare for a war with the Ottomans. After a while, I decided that I should try to at least mitigate the power of the Ottomans by declaring war on them and causing catastrophic damages to them that they may not be able to take up an offensive war with me. With my allies Serbia and my tributary of Epirus, we were able to outnumber the Ottomans and win in each and every engagement with the Ottomans. Though there were times when the Ottomans were able to a little bit tip the scale or tip the battle more towards their favor. And so, with the money that I accumulated, I hired as many mercenaries that I could use to fight against the Ottomans. The battle was really hard fought, but in the end, with the grace of God, Byzantium was able to prevail against her enemies and reconquer Optimopoli and reconquer the team of Optimopoli. But hiring mercenaries really did a number on the Byzantine treasury. But luckily for me, with the countless battles that we won and the sieges, in comes the prisoners, I was able to ransom a lot of Turkish nobility from the Ottomans. After their defeat, the Turks really wanted their revenge and tried to raid the capital or my capital, Constantinople. But with a much more robust men of arms, I was able to easily defeat them, and showing once and for all the return of Byzantine supremacy. After a while, nothing really much happened. I realized that I should make things faster by trying to get the Kingdom Holy War against the Ottomans. But my low piety I realized that it would take a long time for me to be able to declare war or declare a kingdom type holy war against the Ottomans with the rate of which my piety would increase. And so I decided that I should save up my money to be able to afford a pilgrimage to the cheapest holy site that I could find for Orthodoxy. And in this mod, if you would look at the cost of a pilgrimage, you would realize why I didn't chose that decision earlier, because it is much more expensive than the vanilla game. But with the new conquered counties, I was able to easily raise up these funds to be able to afford a pilgrimage. After my third pilgrimage, I was then able to get the necessary piety to be able to declare holy war on the Ottomans. With me now being able to spend my money more on building up my men of arms instead of going to a pilgrimage, I then hired as many men of arms that I could, and then waited until I was able to recruit the necessary numbers of troops and then declare war on the Ottomans. As you can see, the war wasn't that very hard. Because of the loss of Optimopoli for the Ottomans, they lost one of their most profitable counties to me. When playing in Crusader Kings 3, you need to be proactive and try to use as many opportunities as you could get, especially when you see that your enemy is a bit weak, maybe after a war from another of their neighbor. You should try to exploit any opportunities that you could find. And with that, as you can see, I have now already reconquered the kingdom, or what was once the kingdom of Nicaea, which is a great victory for the Byzantines. And the land of Anatolia would serve as a springboard to attack the Sultanate of Rum and reconquer most of Inner Anatolia. After a while, nothing much really happened, as I cannot be able to declare a kingdom holy war on the Sultanate of Rum anymore with this same character. And so I tried to declare war on Bulgaria so that I may be able to make them a tributary of mine. But sadly, during the war, my character died in a horse riding accident, and luckily for me, with his new heir and son, I may be now able to declare a holy war on the Sultanate of Rum. Though after a while of waiting for him to grow up, and also, like before, trying to do pilgrimages to build up the piety to be able to declare a kingdom type holy war against the Sultanate of Rome. Soon after, I was then able to now finish my third pilgrimage, and now with the necessary piety, with my character now being a holy person, asking guidance from God, and the support of the clergy, I am now able to declare a holy war on the Sultanate of Rome. With my armies set and ready to attack, I now began my offensive, or my final, most important offensive against the Turks as revenge for our defeat in the Battle of Manzikert, and also the subsequent conquest of the Turks of our Anatolian holdings. This would be the greatest moment of Rome, or the greatest moment of Eastern Rome. Battle after battle, the Turks stand no chance against the might of my reformed Roman legions. That the Battle of Anatolia took only 1 year to finish. After 300 years of losing Anatolia, the Roman eagle flies once more on the lands of Anatolia, and the restoration in one of the most significant provinces of Rome has now begun. So yeah guys, with one of my main objective now finished, this is probably it for this video. Although I want to finish in this video in the entire reconquest of Anatolia and maybe the reconquest of Syria and Palestine, but I don't know if you can't really see it in my video, but in playing the game, it was very laggy and also very buggy towards the end of the game, or as I continued to play on this game, and also it becomes very tedious as this game is really easy now without any real opposition like the Turks, and also with my heavy reliance on men at arms, that the goal of restoring the East entirely is very tedious that I can't really be bothered to. But if you would really like to see that, you can do it yourself. Just kidding. Maybe I can do it in another video, but for that, this is it. This video is really just a fun challenge for me, and I really do like to take advice from you guys on what to do. So aside from just making these types of video, I like to make other types, and I hope you guys recommend to me what type of videos that you would like to see, or what type of videos that's not very common in the Crusader Kings 3 community that you would like to see more of.